I think it's the speakerphone too. My voice is still hoarse, but I think it's the phone that we used yesterday. Today, my computer is acting up, so we're going to be using Leanne's computer today. And her phone's got a better speakerphone than mine, obviously. Okay. So we're recording this, so that way everybody, we can send a recording after, recording link. So welcome to QBOA Practice Management, Best Practices and Workarounds. So thank you for having us present. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tanya Hills. I'm the founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I've been in business since '97. I've been working with QBO since 2012. I've embraced cloud technology in 2014, implemented value pricing in 2015, tripled my sales in the first 12 months since implementing value pricing, and I'm the newest Black Swan sponsored by Intuit for 2016. And as of today, I'm a new member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. So you may be seeing more things from me, which is quite exciting. So I will let Leanne introduce herself. She's with me today, and she can introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Leanne, and I am the operations leader here at Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I have been an entrepreneur myself since 2010. I owned 2 franchises, and throughout that time I worked with QBO starting in 2012. I was actually Tanya's first client on QuickBooks Online. My background is in social media and marketing, and that is my primary function here at Cloud Bookkeeping.
Yes, I've invited Leanne along, of course, because she deals a lot with the task, the workflow, with the operation. So she knows that is probably actually in QBO, the QBOA project management more than me. So I thought it would be really good to have her insight. So let's just dive right in. So we're just going to go straight into the demo and show you guys what we found. So we're minimalists here. We believe in KISS, keeping it simple. That's our motto. And until this was recently launched, we were using Asana for our workflow. So then we took a look at this. I know some of the people who did the beta testing, and the feedback is really good, but it doesn't quite have everything. So of course we know that there's lots of things that they're working on, which is awesome. However, I wanted to be able to use it right away, and with myself being the workaround queen, I thought, let's get in, let's see how we can work with what's here to be able to make it functional for myself. And we've been able to do that to the point where we, other than Leanne, for tasks not associated,
make sure they can see our screen.
Yeah, with the company, that we don't use Asana at all. We're running fully, our firm is running fully using the QBOA practice management. So I just want to make sure, because again, using Leanne's computer, she's got dual screen. Can you see our Cloud Bookkeeping Services QBOA on your screen, Jessie?
She muted herself.
Jessie?
We were muted. I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so can you see our screen, the Cloud Bookkeeping Services, or are you still seeing the go-to screen?
I see the green QBOA with all your work.
Perfect. Okay,
So
great.
Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Can we make it bigger? That's actually, it's already on full screen.
Okay, yeah, I just want to see this very small.
That's weird.
We can try to blow some of them up.
Let me try again.
Can you zoom in from your browser?
Yeah, that's what we're just going to try to zoom in a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, it's just the character is very tiny.
Okay, so that's okay. Just try to blow up on there. Did that get a little bit better?
Much better, much better. Okay, I'm going to mute myself again.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep going then.
Okay, I'm going to mute right now, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Jesse. Okay, so this is what we're actually using. As I say, our practice is fully now on here. So we'll just do a quick overview. So this is the screen that I like to view. There's a few different views. We can view the screen here. How it starts is it starts when you open up, it'll show everybody's. So here's everybody's tasks that are due today for this client. When you actually sign in, it signs into all clients. You can see here, I can see the tasks for all clients that are due today. It's a pretty big list. This week, next week, next 30 days. And this button is usually on when you first sign in. And I want to point that out because, of course, that's anything that's circled in green. That adds a lot of tasks to this. And this can look really overwhelming. So this isn't how we actually work with it. So it does take a little bit, a couple of modifications for this. First, I changed this to me. I'm not concerned what everybody's got going on, just for me. And then as well as green button here, oops. This green button here from QuickBooks, what that means is it's going to show everything. So this client, for example, has QuickBooks Online Payroll. Their payroll date is on the 14th. However, they run their payroll. We are not responsible for running their payroll. That's part of our scope with them is they run their own payroll. So I don't need to see that. There's other clients that run their own. They may do some of their own processing. And there's another one, let me just see here. This one here, you've got 765 unaccepted transactions. That's coming directly from the bank feed. That client is actually no longer with us, but they still stay on our list until a year afterwards because they didn't take over. They tried QBOA from Excel spreadsheet. They tried it for a year, didn't like it, went back to their spreadsheet. So I don't need to see any of this. It's just cluttering up my view. So I turn that off and I change this to me. That looks a lot better because I'm not concerned about everybody else's tasks. The other view you can look at is over here. This is a list view. Now the list view is good for certain things. First off, it doesn't sort automatically by date. It sorts automatically by client and alphabetical. So if you want to use this view, you're going to change by due date. You'll see here that everything that is orange is overdue. And this is our training company. We'll be working within that one. You can also click off this button to show completed items. So it'll show all the here status is done with the green status of all these, which is really neat if you want to check on some past ones. As well as the good thing about the list view versus the tile view is the list view will show all transactions. So if you happen to have some that are over 90 days, hopefully you don't, but if they are over 90 days past due, they disappear from the tile view, so you can only see them in here. So just a few things to keep in mind. But again, I prefer this because it's not cluttered and it only shows me what's coming up, what's immediately within the next 30 days and what I need to worry about today, or anything that was slightly past due. So let me just see here. So we can search by clients. So we've got all clients, and I want to just take a look at, again, my CBS training. Start to type it in, and I can search, and all of a sudden it'll take out all the other clients. So I can work a client at a time. I can, again, view for myself or anybody else on my team. I can view all projects, tasks, or requests, and we'll get into what each of those are in a little bit. And I think that's it for my, so Leanne's going to show you a couple of things now. We're just going to kind of go back and forth, the Tanya and Leanne show, we'll call it.
Yes, so as Tanya kind of gave you an overview of what you're looking at on the screen, we're going to get into how we're using this right now. So the first thing we're going to work with here is the Create Client Request. So this is in replacement to what used to be documents where you can request something directly from your client. So in this case, I'm going to demo how it works, what it looks like on the client end, and we're going to do a response as well. So,
sorry, I need to interrupt. One thing I forgot to mention, because again, I'm sitting at Leanne's desk and I'm feeling out of sorts now because of my computer. But back here, what I do is, of course, when you're going into this is in our QBO way. To go back and forth between this and the client's book, I sign in every day. First thing I do is go here. So what I do is I have an incognito tab that I open immediately in Chrome, or you can use Firefox. And I open that and I go to work in there, view myself. Then I would go back to my other non-incognito Chrome tab, and that way I can easily toggle back and forth between the clients without having to toggle to a client, go back to work, toggle to a client, go back to work. So I found that's just a little bit quicker. And again, I do this first thing in the morning. Then once I'm done, I can close down my incognito and I can keep going. So sorry, I just forgot to mention that. So I will let Leanne continue again.
Awesome. Okay. So for our demo, what we're going to do then is we're going to create a client request for a bank statement. So we're going to just quickly type this in. The client is going to be our CBMS training. And we're going to put this, it usually sets it about 2 days into the future, but you can choose whenever you need it due back from the client. The status is to do. And then in here, it's a quick note to please send new statements. And of course, whoops, when we're not so rushed trying to do a demo, we would make this a lot more eloquent to our clients. Down here, you'll notice there's a button to notify client. So it's going to send an email, and that's going to come up in the next screen. And then I'm going to click this, and it's going to publish to the client's QuickBooks. So it's also going to show up the next time they sign into their QBO file. Now, this is our from name here. Normally, the to email would pop up with your client because this is our training file. There is no email entered, so I'm going to enter our support email so that we can see how this looks on the other end. And then bank statement and hi, please send a new statement. Now, up here, this allows us to allow replies to our email. So if we click that, what it will mean is that they can reply to one of our emails, but I'm going to use the support again just to demo this, right from their email account as opposed to having to respond in QuickBooks. So we're going to publish this and send the email. And it's syncing. So here we go. And then you'll notice that, at least I thought you would notice that. Let's just do a quick refresh here. And it should create another to-do for me.
Sort by request.
So if I sort by request, oh, that's interesting.
Me, put all.
Oh, everyone. There it is. That was it. That was the fix that I needed. So here is my request to the client, and you can see right now it says to do. So if I go check my email, here's what the email looks from the client end. So a request from your business would go here and your statement, and they can do one of two things. They can now reply to this because we allowed for replies right in the email. I'll just say got it and hit send, or they can respond in QuickBooks. Now, just because we're trying to respond to ourselves, this takes a little bit of a technique to get it to actually open. It gives me a nice error until I go into my incognito and paste it in there. And then what will happen is you'll see what it looks like in our clients QuickBooks file. You can see here now we've got the request for July 15th, and if they want to respond to that, they can now do so. So the response process looks kind of like this. So I've requested for a bank statement, so they can add a document in here. We're just going to grab whatever I have open on the screen here. They can also add a comment if they wanted to, say, bring your attention to a purchase or a particular line item. They can type in here. Line 4, post that into the conversation, and then close because that's been uploaded. So you can see here on their side it's changed to in progress. And when we pop back over to our side and hit refresh, we will also have an in progress now so that we know that the client has sent it back to us. There it is there. That email, again, you can see it replied right here in the email that they got it and that they're going to send that back to me.
They can attach it there too, I think.
Yes, yeah, of course. If they're replying right in the email, they would be able to attach to an email reply as easily as going into QBO. It just depends on where they want to put the information. So with using this, the other way that we have been using this client request is to actually send documents to our clients. So for example, if I am pulling a PD7A for a client for their monthly liabilities, I don't necessarily want to send that information via email. I want to make sure it's nice and secure. Here we use SmartVault for the majority of our clients, and we love it. It's easy. The clients like it. It works well. But we have a couple of clients that seem to have technical glitches on their end, and they don't get the emails with the attachments. So we needed to find another way to send attachments to our clients. So what I have started doing is using this create client request. I would use the request name, so perhaps it's liabilities, and choose the client. We'll use CBS. And I'm going to actually make the due date today. The other thing I'm going to change is done, because what I don't need is I don't need a reminder for this. I'm sending something to the client. Once it's in their hands, we're good to go. So here's your form, and I can now add a document. Open that up. Give it a chance to think. And then we're going to publish that to the client's QuickBooks. And now, and again, it's going to email to them. We need to type in that email again.
Now, the good thing about using this, of course, is now we're publishing it in their QuickBooks. So PD7As, for example, they don't have any information on there really that can be used for identity theft, but pay stubs. Pay stubs, definitely you don't want to be emailing pay stubs. So rather than pulling the pay stubs, adding, closing them off, adding a secure password, sending them through, we can attach them in here. The client needs to log into their QuickBooks to be able to access them. They can then print them off and give them to their employees. Because we do not, even though right now there's still no actual laws around it, for certain things we do not email anything with even the client's name. So PD7As, even though there's nothing really that can be used, we don't email any of that directly. It's SmartVault, it's password protected, or it's through here because the privacy is huge as far as we're concerned with our clients.
Exactly. So you can see here they've got a request, and here is your form. Again, this would be a little bit more eloquent if I was sending it to my client with more information. But now when they respond in QuickBooks, they are going to be able to see what it is that I have sent them. So when I do a quick refresh here, the liabilities is going to show up in their list.
Share documents, isn't it?
So here's the liabilities here. Now the other place that they will see it, because this is requests, is going to be shared documents. So because I sent a document out to them, you can see that here's where they sent this document to me for the bank statement. Here's where I sent a document to them for liabilities. So this is the view that our clients will see. Okay, so going back to the main work, I am going to let Tanya take over and go over how we create a project.
Okay, so there's a couple of different levels there. So you create a project. It's your main step. So, and this is any one of these. So a project is either a single task or it can be a project that has multiple tasks. So up until yesterday, as a matter of fact, last night's session, we were using just projects as a single task. Just because if you go in here, we can create a project. So Leanne, sorry if you can do some typing for me. I can, because you're by your keyboard. So we'll create like quarterly HST. This is how we were doing it. We would select the client, select the due date. Now, the one thing that they are working on is, sorry, no, we'll do what's recurring first, is that it can't repeat right now. So that, of course, was something that was really good with the Santa is repeating. So hopefully that'll be out within the next release of the QBO practice management. However, there's a really simple workaround with this. All you do is you save it. Once you've saved it, where is it? Yes, it doesn't really matter which one. For the HST. Okay. Actually, we'll grab this one. Oh, I'll grab this one. I'll use this one. The payroll reminder, biweekly Tuesday. If we put the due date in the project name, this is due biweekly on Tuesdays. First thing I'm going to do when I open it, and yes, this is an extra step or two, but hopefully, again, it won't be for long, but I'm still finding it easier and quicker to work through using just the QBO way. And then again, everything's in one spot. I'll open this. I'm going to hit duplicate, change this name. It says biweekly on Tuesdays. I'll change this to the next due date, which will be, August 1st. That's a Tuesday. Save it, and then go back in this one and work with this one. And then I can complete this one. I can change this to yes, no, it's done once I've done it. So that's how we actually duplicate and then save. Another way you could just go in there and instead of duplicating, you could just simply change the due date. Oh, not on that one, actually. On this one, for example. You could simply just change the due date. I do like the tracking to see what was completed by who. I like the ownership and the accountability to that, which is why we've decided here to adopt the duplicate first. Again, it's a flick of a button and you can move on. And again, you're really only working with the top one in this column at a time is basically what you should be doing. And again, this is quarterly on the 5th. When we get to that, we would just change it, July, August, September, October, 5th. Save it and be done with it. Actually, I didn't duplicate first. So cancel. If we're going ahead and creating a project, a main project, and adding tasks, we can definitely go ahead and do that. We'll just get one up.
So if we took this quarterly HST here,
yeah, if we wanted to add tasks, like let's say we had a task that we want to reach out to the client and send the client a request or a reminder. Contact client to make sure they've submitted all their documents. Something like this, we actually do have automatic workflows that we use 17 hats for, but for the sake of this, let's say that we didn't. We could put that as one of our steps with one due date. And we could add a different task to file the HST, and we could add a different due date to that. Save, and of course, as long as the due dates for these individual tasks are before the due date to the project, it's great. So the one thing that why we didn't use this until yesterday is when we went to duplicate that, so we go back in to duplicate the project, it changed all task dates originally to the date of the project. So when we demoed this yesterday, we were very pleased to find out that when you hit duplicate, Can we duplicate that one?
I just did, yep. So
Okay, so when we duplicate it, it actually saves all of the days. It didn't change all of the dates to line up with the project due date, which was really cool. So that's one of the small changes that they've made since it came out. So if you see there, task date change to match new project due date, you can just click undo. And then you can just go ahead and manually, I guess, change those dates. Or no, those dates stayed the same exactly as they were. So that was pretty cool. So then we thought, okay, how can we work with that? Because right now, when we duplicate, if we've got clients that come on, we have main ones that we would go in and duplicate and just change the client name over. So we thought, okay, how can we make this, again, simple for us? And I will let Leanne show that.
Okay, so we were looking to simplify, because the unfortunate thing with adding tasks is it adds the tasks into your list. So you can see that if I have a quarterly HST with 2 tasks underneath it, it has now added 3 items to my list. That might not seem like a lot, but if I'm doing 15 clients for quarterly HST, that is now 15 by 3 items added to my list, and now my list is really, really long because those are all coming up on the same days. So what we did to get around that, and I'll see if we have one open here. No, I don't have. Here's one that I would have started. So we did a payroll reminder biweekly on Tuesdays, and what we did instead is we created our list of tasks here. So the first thing I'm going to do when I open this up is duplicate it. Then my second part of the task is going to be email the client for hours. That should be plural. And then my final one is to process the payroll. So when I save that, it is now one task with all my duties underneath it. Or I guess, sorry, forgive me, one project with all the tasks in the details, as opposed to separate tasks that are going to create more things on my list. So when I duplicate this, that's August 1st. We're going to go to now August 15th. Save. I can now go back to my August 1st one, and I can mark it with an X. I can take the duplicate out altogether. The point is I did that already. So then my next thing would be to email the client. I'm going to mark that I did email the client for their hours, and I'm going to save it, and it stays in my list because now I'm waiting for the client to email me back. But I can see when checking on that task that I've already done my part.
Maybe change the status too.
Yes, sorry. I can also change the status to be in progress, so I know that I am working on that task, that I've actually looked at the task and that it has been started and it is moving forward. So then we've talked about duplication, and it's an easy way to copy projects across multiple clients. Tanya, do you want to speak to that?
I think I jumped ahead. Okay, so if you've got this for like CBS training, and I say, okay, I've brought in a new client and I'm going to do the same steps with them, if you duplicate it and I want to add this to the new client, I just simply go ahead, pick the new client's information here, change it to them, and I haven't had to create a whole new project. I've been able to duplicate this, go ahead, change the date, maybe add a detail or two, and then I would save it. I'm not going to save it in that case because they are a real client. I don't want them to get that information, but don't save. But that's how we can go ahead and do that to, again, simplify things. Now, when looking at the changes they did yesterday, we worked with it today and came up with a really simple way, because our onboarding process, if we bring on a full client, we're creating a task for their HST, we're creating a task for their payroll, we're creating a task for their payroll liabilities, their year end, their monthly reconciles. So there's probably 6 or 7 tasks, which is fine because we're going to repeat that. But I will let Leanne show you with what we played with today.
So what we've done, so just to give you an idea of what we've done in past, this is our Excel sheet with the typical kinds of tasks or projects that we would have created under Asana or now QBOA practice management. So you can see it's like clear at HubDoc weekly, payrolls potentially as often as weekly. You've got monthly things, you've got your quarterly and your yearly. But what we found is instead of needing to create all of those as separate projects now in the practice management, we can actually add an annual workflow. And here is the one way where we feel the tasks would be much more useful. So if I was to create an annual workflow for CBS training, I would put the due date at the end of the year. I would assign it to myself, and leave the status as to do. And then under that, I would create the tasks for all the others that we would have used individual projects with before. So same sort of idea here on the quarterly HST, the due date, and the steps that I would take when doing a quarterly HST, the monthly payroll liabilities, reconcile a bank account, etc. So now each of these tasks are in my list, but it's not as much duplication because they're all under one annual workflow, which is going to save time when I'm copying it from client to client. The one downfall to this is moving the tasks forward. So there's a couple ways you could do it. You could simply change the due date. So if this is the quarter, I could simply move it ahead by 3 months once I've done it. One of the thoughts we have on that is making sure that you have some sort of tracking system to say that you filed the quarter before. So we could put quarter 2 filed by Leanne, July 15th. So that there's some sort of note moving forward before I go ahead and change that date.
Yeah, because you can't duplicate just a task. You can only duplicate a project.
So yeah, so other than that, you would just continue to move these tasks forward throughout the year, and then the next year create a new annual workflow with the year's dates and duplicate it for each of your clients once again, so that each year you're working with one main project and then changing the tasks under that project to suit your needs for each individual client.
And again, when you're signing up new clients, that means you are now creating only one project and then editing the tasks versus, duplicating, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many tasks you have that you're actioning on those clients.
So then the last thing that we noticed, and actually again this was a new discovery this week, is our new Notesworthy. I don't know if you guys have seen this pop up on your client's page, but now when we go into a client here, it brings you into this section that it covers notes, bookkeeping, and shared documents. So you can see these are the shared documents that our client was seeing on the other end.
You can also upload, just strictly upload documents from here.
And then in notes, it takes a while to load this page, I find. It took a while last night as well for us to get this page to load for us.
Maybe show the bookkeeping view while we're waiting.
So in notes, we thought that this would be a great place internally to share any sort of uniqueness with each client. So we find that each client has kind of their own little quirks, whether it be, this client does this a certain way, or you need to know this about this client, whatever the case might be. We have traditionally wrote an SOP that was stored outside of QuickBooks, but now we're thinking that we could potentially store it in here. I'm still having trouble getting it to come up. It doesn't want to show.
Maybe just review the bookkeeping tab while we're waiting.
So the bookkeeping tab. You can see all your typical information, your books closed, last sign in, last download, all your accounts and where they're sitting, the unaccepted transactions. Now this is our training account, so it's okay. That's, that's an okay number. And the new work papers.
Yeah, we don't have any payroll, otherwise you'd see when the payroll was due and whatnot is there as well. So let's see if notes is loaded now. Still not loaded.
Oh, doesn't like that.
Oh, it's starting to do something. So obviously we don't have the email built in, the email and mailing address. Again, it's our training account, but you can put all the client's contact information there. And then the notes, it does have place for many notes, so you can add many, many notes versus just a couple of lines. You can continuing to add, I think every time you go out, it'll have to refresh.
I was just thinking it might let me go in here.
No.
No.
It takes a while. Anyway, so you can pin the notes. And so what we've decided to put here is, because we don't use this as our CRM, because not all of my team members have access to all of my clients. And they don't have access to my practice. So because they don't have access to my practice, unless I've given them access to the client, they're not going to be able to see anything, but one of them might take a brief message or something. So again, we do that within 17 hats at this point. But anything that's relevant to somebody working on this, these clients, so such as, again, as Leanne said, the SOPs, maybe, something a little particular, some notes, we can do that. We can pin it to the top. So that way we can go there and access something like that. So that's what we've decided to use this for. And I don't know why it's not showing up for you today. Maybe it's because it's not active. Sorry about this, guys. It was,
yeah, it's weird that it did take a while last night as well, but not that long. That's a little bit strange. Let's see if it wants to come up over here in the other browser. Oh, that seems to be doing.
Okay.
There it is.
There we go. So maybe it's just a Chrome issue. I found my Chrome's not been acting very well today. So here's where you can see where we've got the notes. You can just add the notes there. It'll save them in order. So, and it actually says who put the notes, the date, the time, which is great for tracking. And then if you pin it, it actually will show you, if you grab the note itself, there you can pin it, you can delete it, you can edit it. So once you pin it, it moves it to the top and then adds it to the pin notes on the side. So again, the SOP, something really unique to the client that somebody might need to know when they're working on it. We could put it all in there, which makes our internal flows a lot easier.
Okay, so I think that is everything we had to show you guys tonight. So we can certainly open it up, though, to questions if anyone has any.
And then don't forget, Jesse, you've got us muted, so.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, anybody has questions about this or any questions?
I have a question regarding the client email, client notification email. How can you add multiple email ID for sending email to clients?
So to add the payroll liability? I'm sorry, I found it difficult to hear what you said.
Not in the practice management, but when you send an email to client, how can we send email to a client who has got like 2 people working on it and both of them need the email?
So so if we wanted to send a request to more than one person?
Yes.
We haven't tried that yet, but let's try it now. I would think that we can just add that second email address. So let's just see here. Okay, so let's add in, let's try to add in 2 email addresses. Okay, and then that colon or semicolon. And space and try that. Doesn't look like that's going to work. We'll try it.
No, it doesn't, it won't let us. So it looks like that's not actually possible at this time. I think the only way you would be able to do it would be to create 2 separate requests, one to the first person and then one to the second person.
Or send it through your Outlook, but then that doesn't keep track of it and it doesn't automatically create. So maybe that's something that we can actually send to Scott. We'll send Scott a quick email, let him know that we did this. That would be great. Because you're right, there are several times where you might have 2 people working on the file, and as a matter of fact, we have one of our clients that we CC the owner for everything that we send the manager on the manager to. So that would be a great feature.
Yeah, this is only phase 1, so this is new. And the second phase will have a recurring task. Hopefully this is on that list too. So we just started the work. Yeah. So recurring is definitely on the next release. Yeah. That's what I meant. So this is really brand new. Just want to have a basic idea how it works. But phase 2, you'll have the recurring task, and we will talk to Scott about releasing more features in this one, so you guys can work better. Any other questions?
Yeah, but Jesse, if I can just interject and say that yes, while we're waiting for the recurring task, that duplicate feature works really well to be able to get you used to working in here until that recurring task come out. But from what we've heard, and you would probably have better information, it's not far in coming, that recurring task. But like I say, the duplicate feature works beautiful as a temporary measure.
Did you hear that? Why are payrolls showing up that have already been completed?
The ones that we picked off completed are not. They'll go back. They're still there because we actually duplicated them and we didn't pick them off. If you go into the list view and click to show completed items, there's the completed items. So if we go back in and we'll actually complete one. So let's go back in, the tile view, and let's get rid of that one there. So once we change this one there, the July 11th, done, it disappears. So it's just because we've got a lot of stuff going on in here. So obviously some of the ones that were within here may have looked like they were the same ones, but they're not. The ones that we ticked off as completed did disappear. Absolutely.
Leanne, in your client practice management, you said when you create a new project for GST quarterly filing, what I would do is like I would create a project name GST quarterly filing, and in the details I would put the client name. So I don't have to create multiple projects for each client.
Right, and I mean, if that's how you're...
It can eliminate a lot of clutter in the screen that you're showing us.
Yeah, now I could see that if that's how your flow works. Now for myself, personally, I like to, as I process each client and the way my flow works for quarterly HST, I like to see that client disappear from my list, if that makes sense. Just because I have our typical HST project has 4 separate items to complete underneath it, and every client may be at a different stage in the process. So for me, quarterly HST isn't just the filing at the end, it's the getting in their documents and contacting the client and pulling from QBO and then filing on the CRA. So because of that, and because clients may move at different paces depending on how efficiently they get me their information, that's why I create a separate project for each client.
Now, if you're doing it that way, there are some things, just to let you know that if you're doing that and you're not having this be a specific client, you cannot attach a task without having a client. You cannot attach a task or a project to your own file just the way it stands to your own QBOA file. So what I did to work around that is, you search type in my name, I created myself as a client, and if we click that off and then change to everybody, these are ones here, tasks that are for my own firm. So what you could do is, if that works best for you to create one project and then just have a list of the clients in there, then I would then create yourself as a client or as a customer in your own QuickBooks and assign the task to yourself, and then in the details have the notes. So that would be a good workaround for you for that.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Other questions?
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No, this is nothing. We just talk about what we have right now. Whatever happens in the future, we will do another session when the future actually is in there.
Oh, so if I'm planning well ahead, I've got to get GST information 2 weeks from now, and I'm typing it in tonight. Will it send that email tonight, or will it send it to them in 2 weeks?
As far as I'm aware, no, it sends it immediately, and what it does with the due date that you put in, if you put a 2-week due date, what will happen is it'll show under the next week column as the due date, but it sends the email immediately.
Any other questions before we file off? Everything's good?
Yeah.
It was great, thank you. Okay, thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you,
Yeah.
Leah.
Have a great evening. Have a great night, all.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Oh, it's very late.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.